What is going on, guys? We have Thursday night football tonight between the Ravens and the Dolphins. Both these teams have been pretty rough this year. We have the Dolphins, who have a decent pass defense, but a terrible run defense. And then we have the Ravens, who have a terrible pass defense and a below average rush defense. So these are a couple of the matchups that I'm going to exploit with my bets today. In this video, I'll be going through a few of my picks for the game tonight. But before I get into the plays, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. So, one, if you're not in the free Discord, the link to join is in the description below. And two, if you want to see all of my plays, a screenshot of all of my slips, a write up of every single bet that I'm making. If you want to tail my exact bets every day, you need to sign up for VIP. And if you want to sign up for the VIP, you can use the link in the description below to get a 7-day free trial for that. And then lastly, I'm using Outlier to show these bets. This is the research website that I use for everything. It is a paid subscription website, but if you want a free trial, there's also a link below too. Honestly, this website has saved me so much time over the years, and you'll see for some of the things that I'm finding, I use it for literally everything: NFL, NBA, WNBA, you name it. It's amazing, honestly. So let's get right into the plays here. I've only got a couple of straight bets for tonight and one parlay filler. So we'll start off with the first bet, which is Lamar Jackson over 36.5 rushing yards. This line is actually moving down slightly on PrizePicks, so you can probably get this at 35.5 on PrizePicks currently. The main reason for this one, if we look at Lamar Jackson's away games the last couple of years, he went over this number in 9 out of 10 away games last year, averaging 61.4 yards per game. 2 games this year, averaging 59 rushing yards per game, too, with 70 yards and 48 yards. I think a lot of people are going to be concerned with his injury and coming back from the injury and everything, but the Ravens wouldn't throw him out there if he wasn't healthy. They gave him a few extra days to sit, and that's why they started Stu Huntley on Sunday. So I think Lamar Jackson is going to be fine. The Dolphins are allowing the 8th most rushing yards per game to quarterbacks this year at 22.5 per game, which isn't a large number, but they did give up 81 yards to Justin Fields earlier on in the season, and Lamar Jackson is way better than Justin Fields just in general. So I think he could definitely go over this 35.5 number, mainly because of this away trend with Lamar, because that is 11 out of 12 games, but also I think the Dolphins will give up a lot of rushing yards just in general this game. So sticking with the theme, my second play in this game is actually Derrick Henry over 90.5 rushing yards. Now, I know the graph is going to look rough. He's had those really bad games, 4 games under 50 yards. He had a 71-yard game last week, but then he had a couple of huge ones. Week 1, the 169 yards against Buffalo. A couple of weeks ago, 22 yards against the Rams. Some of these are pretty difficult matchups for him, too. You see, the Browns are a team I'm generally taking unders on running backs on this year. The Lions are a good run defense. The Chiefs historically have been a good run defense, but this game was a total blowout. And the Texans are one of the better run defenses in the NFL. So it's been a lot of difficult matchups for Derrick Henry to start the year this far. And also, Lamar was out with an injury, so the team they just haven't been the same. So with Lamar back, I'm going to filter for games with Lamar Jackson for Derrick Henry, just to see what it looks like just on the chart. So we'll go with Lamar Jackson. And it turns into 4 games this year. He had the 1 game against Buffalo in week 1 and the 3 games after that in the difficult matchups. Going back to last season, though, you see it was 58% of the time. However, the reason why I'm going to be on this play for Derrick Henry is because I think the Ravens win. They're 7.5 favorites on the road in Thursday Night Football, and I know weird things happen on Thursday, but I'm going to trust Vegas in this one and assume the Ravens win. So I'm going to filter for games that the Ravens won over the last couple of years while Lamar Jackson is healthy with Derrick Henry, playing. So if I look at this sample size, you have 13 games last season where Ravens won, Lamar Jackson was healthy. Derrick Henry averaged 135 yards per game. He went over this 90.5 number 11 out of 13 times. And then this year, he only had the 1 game against Cleveland. But like I said before, I've been avoiding running backs against Cleveland the entire year. And also, this game was a total blowout. So I'm just going to throw that one out the window and mainly focus on this last year's trend. And this Dolphins defense, it's really bad against the run. Like I mentioned a couple of times before, this is something I want to target today. The Dolphins are allowing 117.9 rushing yards per game to running backs, which is 3rd worst in the NFL. They allowed James Cook, Rico Dowdle, and Kamani Vidal to go over 108 yards against them. Those are decent running backs, but King Henry is King Henry. He can go for 200 yards on any given day. Honestly, I'm taking this over 90.5. If you want to ladder it up, you could probably go all the way up to even maybe 149.5. He might even get 150 or more yards. I'd say 139.5 might be a little bit safer if you're going to choose something up the ladder too. But 149 is definitely a possibility tonight, which is about plus 700 on DraftKings. So decent line on that. And, it is possible for him to get there. You could also take his Green Goblin too of like 59.5. I mean, that's just a mortal lock as well. So, I'll be on that Green Goblin a little bit. I have another Goblin play that I'm going to mention here in a second. But this King Henry line, it's just it's nice because the matchup's so good for him. So I'm going Lamar rushing yards. I'm going with Henry rushing yards. And then if you're playing on PrizePicks, you have to have a player from the other team or Underdog Fantasy. And I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle over. This is the alternate line, but I'll go to his main line just to talk about it. But 39.5 receiving yards on the alternate line, which is still good. But his main line is 64.5 yards. So looking at it this season, he's only averaging 63 yards per game, but I need to filter for games without Tyreek Hill because after that injury occurred, Waddle is the leading receiver on the team with over a 21% target share. He's averaging just under 80 yards per game in those 4 games, and he's gone over this number 3 out of 4 times. Outside of that one blowout loss to Cleveland, who, like I keep saying, they've been a defense I've been avoiding this entire year for props. The Ravens are allowing a lot of receiving yards this year. They're allowing 159 receiving yards per game to wide receivers for 8th worst in the NFL. And they also allowed 7 wide receivers or actually 8 wide receivers to go for 64 or more yards against them this year. And then on the alternate line, they've allowed 17 total receivers, or tight ends or whatever, to go over 40 yards against them. If we're only looking at wide receivers, they allowed 11 receivers to go over this number in these 7 games. So really strong trend on the Jalen Waddle. He's going to be the lead receiver. He's going to be on the outside a bit. And, Odunze did just hit them for 114 yards last week in this very same situation. So Waddle's going to be a good play. Dolphins are going to be trailing. They're going to have to throw. Waddle's going to be the main guy they throw to. And there's no Darren Waller too, which also might lead to a couple extra targets to Waddle. But that's going to wrap it up today. Just a few bets. We got Lamar rushing yards, Henry rushing yards, and then Waddle receiving yards. Like I mentioned before, join the free Discord server if you want to join the community. We have a really good thing going in there. And best of luck on your bets tonight, everybody. Thanks for watching.